Yes, my people, I see the hot. It don't happen. No breaking news. Congo Brazzaville military don dey invade am and they won't take over. Now be military coup so because they say their president they go dey conduct election wey no work and they go dey give the person wey be say no be dey vote for as the president. Now make military invade here so now they talk say they don remove their president wey be Nguesso. Man don't talk too much because na the same thing so now we see the experience for Nigeria who vote for not who they give us. As they watch this video because people don dey celebrate say arise Africa. Watch this video, share am, make everybody make dem see wetin dey happen for Congo Brazzaville. Share am and comment your opinion as e dey hot.
There are reports of a military coup in another French colony in Central African Republic, Congo Brazzaville. Their president, Nguesso, who has been in power since 1997, is in faraway New York attending the UN National Assembly meeting. The media in Congo are currently reporting that military men are taking over government institutions. Recall that Nguesso won re-election in 2021 with 88% of the votes. Although there are scarce information why the military are taking power in Congo Brazzaville, but we all know that agitations can arise from rigged elections. When politicians perpetuate themselves in power as if the presidency is a monarchy, as if no one else can do the job, they rig elections and prevent citizens from removing them through the ballot. They make military coups inevitable. More updates as we get them. Thanks for watching. The problem is that many people are not listening to the message. They're only looking at the messenger. Is it because it is Macron saying it? Macron is not a saint. Even General Chiani of Niger said the same thing. He accused Bazoum of working in the interest of foreigners instead of Nigerians. He even accused him of treason. So if Macron says that Africans are not capable of knowing what is good for them and that they expect a foreigner to come and do better in their country, better than themselves, it calls for deeper reflection no matter how insultive you find the statement. Charity must begin at home. No matter all the excuses and reasons you give for all the foreign influence on African countries, no foreign power is preventing all these African countries from having clean streets. No, none at all. The most basic responsibility of government, no one is preventing them from delivering it to their people. So there is no excuse. There's no denying the fact that France and other foreign powers took advantage of Africans for many years and they continue to do so till today. But are we going to use that as an excuse not to deliver the minutest basic service that is the responsibility of government to the people? Are we going to continue saying because of this we can't do this, because of this we can't do this, so no one can find any solution despite all the adversaries? If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. How about resigning? Yes, many people have talked about foreign powers taking out African leaders who can't dance to their tune. But how many people will they take out before it becomes a full-blown war? The problem is that we don't understand the concept of leadership in Africa. An average African politician, when he's elected to any office, sees himself as a king that everyone else should be subservient to. That his job is just to dish out orders to everyone, and anyone who doesn't obey, he will imprison that person, oppress the person, do all sorts of things to oppress the opposition. That's the problem. They don't have the minutest patriotism in them. Never. But they expect the followers to be more patriotic than they themselves that are supposed to uphold the constitution, all the laws, everything. This is the problem. You have people who love themselves and their positions more than anyone else, more than the national interest. That's why you see African leaders changing their laws in order to have a third term to maintain that their position. It means they love themselves and the position they hold more than anything else. That's why they amend the constitution in order to remain in power perpetually. That's why they sign all sorts of agreements with foreign powers. They don't think them through. They don't want to know the impact on their economy. Nothing. They're only interested in maintaining their position. In most of these countries, when you look at their Human Development Index when these leaders came to power, there is no difference when you compare them to the Human Development Index today. They've not in any way improved the lives of their people. They're only there to pay salaries and dish out orders. The few projects they embark on, the serious over-invoicing that goes on, the money they use in constructing a 100-kilometer road can be used to construct a 300-kilometer one. So the problem is here. Not that the foreigners don't have a blame. But let's not continue using what they did here as an excuse. This is allowing politicians to get away with bad governance. It is not acceptable. Before anyone embarks on a job, he must have done his homework. He must have done his cost implication analysis to know how much it will cost him to do something. Before anyone can contest for presidency in his country, he must have done his homework. He must have seen the annual revenues of his country. He must have made a plan and said, hey, this is how I'm going to tackle this. This is where I'm going to get money to fund this, do that. Not when you come to power, you start giving us excuses and people lap on it and say, hey, it is this foreign power that is doing this, this foreign power is doing it. If you can't fight them, give way for another person. Resign from your job if you can't face them. Yes, our leaders are weak. Why are they weak? It's simply because they are corrupt. They know these guys have their files and they can use them as leverage. So that's why they always dance to their tunes in order not to be disgraced in public. It's as simple as that. And since these leaders make it nearly impossible to remove them from office through an election, they make military coups inevitable. In the countries where the military have successfully seized power, they should make sure that they correct all the wrongs before handing over power to civilian regimes, so that hopefully the new civilian regimes can at least focus on solving their problems, their immediate problems, not blaming others. The African Renaissance we all seek can only be actualized when we all start telling ourselves the truth, when we start working in the national interest instead of selfish interest. Yes, Africa suffered most than other regions in the world, from slavery to colonialism and all that. But we can't use because of that and say, hey, this is what is preventing us from doing this, achieving our potential. People should focus more on finding solutions. How are we going to solve our numerous problems? How about African countries banning the export of natural resources in their raw form? It will definitely hurt their income in the short term, but in the long term, they will be better off. It will also lead to an increase of the price of these raw materials, which might force these companies to come and establish processing facilities in these countries. They will be forced to establish dependent industries that will process these raw materials into finished products. These are the advantages that Africans should be talking about. These are the solutions to the numerous problems. Not that what happened during the colonial era and continues to happen today didn't happen or that they don't exist. But we should try and find solutions, and with time, with a collective effort, we'll be able to achieve that African Renaissance.
One of our main resources is oil. We're the largest oil refinery in the world. So we buy oil from Nigeria and we refine them and we sell it back to Nigeria. Yeah. So that's basically what we do. So we are one of the largest oil refineries in the world. Right? Because we have no natural resources.
Look at this tour guide saying that India doesn't have any natural resource, but they still built the largest refinery in the world. They buy crude oil from Nigeria, refine it, and sell it back to Nigeria. Who did this to us? No foreign power did this to us. Our own leaders couldn't build and maintain a refinery. They are now exporting jobs to another country. They are funding employment in another country while their people live without jobs. The worst part in all this is that African founding fathers who fought for independence had better vision than the current leaders we have in Africa today. In Nigeria, for example, the administration of Tafawa Balewa and Zik, if they were able to stay in power for longer, Nigeria would be today competing with many Asian countries. In those days, people were more patriotic, unlike today. Today, they talk about what they can get, not about leaving a lasting legacy. So no matter how people feel about the foreign meddling in African affairs, we can only stop it when we are united under one goal. Don't expect everyone to fall in line, because even the fight for independence, many people sabotaged it. Yes, it sounds strange, but people actually sabotage their own independence struggle. Yes, even the military coups sweeping the Francophone countries, not everyone in these countries support them, although many see them as proper revolutions, but in actual fact, only one or two of them can be referred to actual revolutions. What happened in Niger was not a revolution. The saving grace is that people are now turning it to a people's revolution. It remains to be seen if the people will be able to convince the military boys to do whatever they want them to do. If they are able to effect all the changes that people will demand from them through a referendum, then it will truly become a people's revolution. It might seem impossible that African countries will ban the export of natural resources in their raw form because of the revenue implications. But the truth is that there are countries, even in Europe, that do not have a single natural resource. How were they able to grow their economy without revenues from natural resources? The answer lies in prudent management of resources. They like to live lavish lifestyles. They waste money on frivolities. If they are able to reduce unnecessary expenditures and reduce the size of their governments, then they can have enough savings to deliver the basic services to their people. It's not rocket science. All the money they waste every day, it is simply because it is not their money. If it were to be their money, they wouldn't be spending it the way they spend this money. There's just too much wastage. This happens because there's no checks and balances. Anyway, here's hoping that people who have started on the path of emancipation will be truly emancipated so that they will serve as an example for others to follow. Thanks for watching.